All right, let's talk about our watch list for the week. I think that I'm going to start it off this week, and I saw a horror film. Here's just a quick spoiler. I think my entire list this week's horror movies, just because of Halloween coming up. I saw a movie called Julia. This came out this Friday in limited release. To my knowledge, it is not on video on demand. So if it's playing in your area, maybe check it out. This is essentially a rape revenge film. Yeah. So a lot of people right off the bat are not going to be into this one, and I completely understand. I'm not particularly into the rape revenge films in general either, but this one is actually pretty good. It's not great, but it's like a B movie mixed with an indie art house film. The way that it's shot looks like an indie drama or even an indie comedy, the way that they kind of look. So visually, it's very interesting, this movie. It's directed by Matthew A. Brown, and basically it's about a girl who gets sexually assaulted by a group of kind of preppy young rich kids, and she ends up finding this therapist that has this very unorthodox method of kind of dealing with the trauma, which essentially involves exacting revenge on the men who wronged her. And she kind of gets a little bit out of control and just starts going on a rampage, on a killing spree.
Okay.
A lot of really brutal scenes in this one too. A lot of really violent scenes. But the interesting thing about it is that you're never really quite sure what is kind of fantasy and what's reality, because it kind of takes this surreal tone where there's this like weird cult, and you're really never sure what's quite happening, because a lot of it seems like it could be in her head. So I liked that aspect of it. At times, I thought that it leaned a little bit too much towards the B movie side of things rather than the indie drama side of things. But overall, I thought it was okay. Just be forewarned. There is a pretty, I mean, it's not like Irreversible or I Spit on Your Grave levels, but yeah, there is a rape scene in it that's not pleasant to watch. Although I will say that Matthew A. Brown, he did it in the most respectable way possible, if that makes sense. Like, he didn't do it in, it didn't, at least to me, it didn't feel like it was in like an exploitative way. He wasn't glamorizing the scene or anything like that.
Yeah.
But maybe a light recommend for Julia.
Okay. All right. I have one that's not a light recommend, and that's Chantal Ackerman's final movie, No Home Movie. This is a documentary that essentially is about 2 hours of Ackerman using her static long takes to kind of document her mother's declining health. And there's just, it hurts to say this, but there's nothing here, really. I mean, there's a couple of scenes here and there where it's Chantal, having a conversation with her mom, and it's interesting because it gives you a little bit of insight. But outside of that, a lot of it is just her mom shuffling about the house, coming into the frame, leaving the frame, walking through the room and into the hall, walking through this room into another room. And that's about it. There's just not a lot to say, unfortunately.
So essentially, it is a home movie.
Yeah, kind of.
The title says it's no home movie.
No home movie.
But it sounds like a home movie.
It's pretty much a home movie. And I guess the only thing I can think of with the no home movie aspect of it is one of the things that you do kind of bear witness to is how often Chantal is out and about, like in New York and in Paris, and she's never really home to be there with her mother because she's busy with all these other things in her schedule. So I guess that's part of it. But it's just like, as a documentary film, it's there's nothing here.
Hmm.
There's nothing of interest. There's nothing to remark on. It's just this series of images.
Series of images. How'd you see this one?
So I saw this on the festival scope.
Okay. I saw film from 1982, Lucio Fulci's The New York Ripper. This is quite an infamous movie due to its sexual violence that's in this movie. I will say that there's no raping involved in this movie, but it's still just as disturbing the way that a lot of these women get killed in this movie. So the reason I watched this is I'm actually bringing back the Grindhouse Weekly feature. I know that's been
about time.
I know that it's been dormant for about a year, but I'm bringing it back. I have the write-up completely done for this one, so that'll be up early this week probably. Now I'm actually not too familiar with Fulci's filmography. I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but this one it's interesting because it's kind of a mashup of Italian giallo. So you have a lot of the framing and a lot of the shots look like a giallo. A lot of the scenes are completely drenched in color. You know, there'll be a scene where everything's red and everything's blue, which you know, of course, I love giallo films, so I was into that. But the other side of things is it takes place in New York, so you have this kind of gritty early 80s New York City vibe. You know, something like Taxi Driver or an Abel Ferrara film like The Driller Killer, Ms. 45. So you have that vibe too, mixed in with the giallo. So I was definitely into the aesthetic of this movie.
Yeah.
The level of violence probably could have done without. Now I did see the uncut version of this, which is out on Blu-ray right now, and the one scene I'm just gonna tell you what it is because I feel like maybe people should know this going into it. There's a scene where the killer is cutting up a woman with a razor blade, and there's a super close up of him slicing down her breast, and he splits her nipple in half, like down the middle. And it is a super close-up scene. And even though you know it's not real, it is still really, I mean, it makes you squirm. At least it made me squirm. But I still had a pretty good time with this movie, despite that. And yeah, I'd say check it out. It's still, I believe that the uncut version is still not available in the UK. This came out after the whole video nasties thing, but censorship was still an issue over in the UK. They started censoring VHS releases, and this movie, they didn't release it in theaters. They outright said, "No, this is not coming out in theaters," but it did come out on VHS, and they heavily censored it for the VHS release. So you may be able to find like a uncut Blu-ray nowadays, but.
Yeah.
Either way, New York Ripper. Check it out.
Sounds like something. That sounds like something.
Yeah.
I have another American indie. I don't know if you've taken notice that I've watched a number of American indies.
Yeah, and you've been
last couple of weeks.
I've been impressed. You've been cranking out some features left and
right.
right.
Them off.
Left and right.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about when that's going to start to die down. But like as of right now, it's been working out well for me. You know, things are actually coming into my head, but that's not going to last forever. So enjoy it while it lasts, or not enjoy it. I don't know. However you look at it.
Yeah, if you're into American indies, check out the two features that Kevin's doing right now. You have your unsung indies, and your for future reference.
Which doesn't, for future reference, isn't always American indies, but
right, yeah,
a large portion of them are American indies because for some reason they're not getting distribution, which is I find odd, considering the quality of a lot of these that I'm seeing compared to what the quality of what is being released. There's a disconnect. I don't know what's going on. What's happening?
I don't know. I agree. I think there is a disconnect, and I think that's why we need to keep plugging away at getting some of these out there.
Got to talk about them. This one is Her Wilderness. This is from Frank Mosley, not sure. Who you might know more so as an actor, which is essentially how I knew about him. Was he was in Upstream Color, he was in Sabbatical, he had a small role. Ain't Them Body Saints, he was in there. And this is his second film. And this is extremely minimal, very minimalist. There's barely a narrative thread in there. I mean, the one that is there is just, it's faint as can be. And again, it's one of those things where it's just, a lot of these have been very impressionistic, but I mean, this one is even less so. Like, it's not even impressions. It's just, I mean, it is faint. And essentially, you're put in the driver's seat of trying, make something out of this. He doesn't really meet you halfway. He maybe meets you like, maybe a quarter of the way. And I'm being generous there. Meditative mood piece, And again, and I'm seeing a lot of this with these American indies, is there's nothing to really compare it to, which is the most exciting thing for me, because that's what I want when I'm watching movies. I want something, new, something different. And while they might not work 100%, like this one doesn't work 100%, I like the style that he's doing here, and I'm excited for the future of it to see what he does and, refine it a little bit more. But it's something different, which is always going to be huge for me. I'm always going to try and champion those, because it just needs something different.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for this one when it finally does come out. And one thing that I didn't really, because I have a review for this up there, and something else that I didn't really get into is I think this is supposed to be more so of like a installation piece.
Oh, okay.
Because it's centered on like 4 different people, and it kind of cuts between each of their stories, and everything has this like translate like quality to it. Even the line delivery and everything is very, I don't want to say stilted, because it doesn't have the feel of like Sabbatical or something like that. It's just it almost feels like everyone's been hypnotized with their performances.
Oh, okay.
It's different, and
it looks like Frank Mosley told us that they're tentatively aiming for a Fandor release this winter or spring.
Which that's another thing that has me excited, because I know a couple months back I think there's a partnership with Fandor and Factory 25, because I think that's how Stinking Heaven's going to be coming out, is on Fandor. So I really love this idea of Fandor picking these up and doing, VOD.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like they're doing their own distribution of sorts. I'm surprised that more indie filmmakers haven't opted for the Vimeo on demand thing, because
either that or like Alfred Leisure with the
VHX,
where you can have like your own little website on there.
Yeah, you essentially self-distribute, and you cut out a lot of the middleman type stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's harder just to get noticed when you're on platforms like that. Maybe it's because when you're on Vimeo on demand, you're kind of limiting your reach.
Yeah, true.
To a certain extent. You're not on iTunes. You're not on Amazon. I don't know. It's interesting. I saw The Gift, directed by Joel Edgerton.
I heard good things about this one, like a surprise. It's surprisingly good.
It is surprisingly good, because it doesn't, from the trailer, you think it's going to go one way, and it's different. It's different than what the trailer makes it out to be, to a certain extent. Some of the stuff you can kind of infer what's happening, but there's a lot of little twisties and turnies in there that you don't really see coming, and it's well made. It's incredibly tense. The whole movie has this kind of tense vibe to it, where at any moment you're just like, oh my god, what's happening here? And this is a slow burn too, in that not a lot happens in this movie. I mean, it's a slow burn thriller, but it just keeps you on edge the whole time, just how and it made me jump twice. Like intense jump scares that were not really anything, but because I was already on edge, it really made me jump. So I had a really good time with this. Jason Bateman in a dramatic role. I like to see him in dramatic roles from time to time, so he did a good job. Rebecca Hall did a good job too, and as did Joel Edgerton, who pretty much did everything on this movie, and he was great in it. So yeah, I definitely recommend The Gift.
I have to check that one out.
Oh yeah, I think you're gonna like it. You'll like it.
All right. Another American indie, Mudjackin.
I saw this one too. I was just waiting for you to.
Mudjackin. This was my latest unsung indies, which from Letterboxd before me and you, I think like there was 3 people on there that saw it. That was it.
Well, it's as of now, there's five people.
So we added to it 5. And this was again. You can read my review I have up. Plus, within the review, I have a stream of the film itself because I was able to watch this for free on Vimeo, which is a huge bonus. But holy shit, does this thing have a boatload of ideas just going on? There's so many things going on in this movie, and it goes so many different places, and it was just, again, it was energizing.
It was a little too much for me.
A little too much?
The problem I had, especially towards the beginning, like in within the first act, was the fact that, and it kind of cools off towards the end, but for a large portion of this movie, it's just constant people talking over one another, and they layer dialogue, so it's like she's saying something, but then they have her like inner thoughts happening at the same time, and then they just layer audio. And I totally get that's a stylistic choice, but I found it to be kind of grating, and I was getting annoyed with that. But like I said, they kind of cool it with it towards the end.
Yeah, it does kind of.
And also, where this movie goes, I did not see that coming either.
I didn't either, and it just throws you in. Like, I was so confused at the very beginning because I thought that I screwed up and started like in the middle or something. Because I mean, the introduction to these people is just boom, raid.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, you have no idea like who the central characters are. You have no idea what this movie's about. And then, a little bit after that, then they kind of run through a pretty exhaustive history of this brother and sister, and
which I liked.
It's just so, and then halfway through it turns into, well, maybe not even halfway through, but then it turns into this like murder mystery, and it's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this movie, and then it gets even crazier. And see, it started losing me. The movie started losing me, and then he got when he got swept up with the whole neo-Nazi group. That's when it reeled me back in, because it got so funny at that point. His reaction too, just when he first walks in, and he's like, What's going on with the swastikas? And she's like, oh, it's just something we're trying.
I fully bought in. I got my ticket punched when he's going through like his idea of what happened, like of this murder mystery that he completely fabricates from his mind. And as he's running through it, they do like that fake trailer for the movie of what his idea is. And I just could not stop laughing. For like, why is he in a little rowboat with a cop that capsizes?
Yeah,
I don't understand that. And then there's a head explosion that just goes on for so long with you can just see the blood flying out of the face. You could tell that they were so happy with the way that came out that they just allotted it extra screen time. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Yeah, it probably could use some more focus, but I don't know, for a debut to see everything that's in here, and then everything that they do have, the fact that the director Christopher Good, writer, director. He did all the cinematography for it, and there's a shit ton of camera movements going on in here.
Oh God.
And the fact that he does all the editing, which to me the editing was just unbelievable. To have all these things going on and to be able to cut it and for it to not be just a completely incoherent mess was just extremely impressive.
It was teetering on the line for me of incoherent mess, but it didn't fully go over. It had kind of an Edgar Wright vibe to it to me, the way that just how kinetic everything was, and a lot of the camera movements and stuff felt like there was some Edgar Wright influence in there.
Oh, I could see that.
But yeah, I had fun with it. I thought it made me laugh quite a bit. And just going back, again, I can't stress enough how much shit is in this movie. I mean, it is just, there's so many little plot threads that are happening concurrently.
And then the way that it ends, which just kind of throws everything into disarray.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when he's talking to the FBI guy and he just hands him that note that says that he's stuck in a movie.
Yeah. And the guy just walks away.
And then when he decides he wants to try and get out of this, and I love the fact that they introduce the neo-Nazis and they do it in like a Terrence Malick way. You know, the skinhead walking through the tall grass with his arms out.
I loved it.
And the voiceover of him talking
so
about
funny.
And then he's trying to get out of doing this movie because he's a bumbling guy, and they decided, oh, well, we'll make it a horror comedy because this guy's perfect. And he decides that he's just going to be absolutely terrible, and then they'll fire him from the production. They have to. So he does like the worst. He's just absolutely terrible, and it's hilarious. And they just think it's the best thing they've ever seen.
I thought it was the best thing I've ever seen. I loved it. It was so funny. Yeah.
I just can't wait to see more.
Yeah, this one's definitely worth checking out. And like Kevin said, it's available for free on Vimeo. So you can watch the whole thing.
It's only, and that's another thing. It's only like an hour and 25 minutes long. Like they jam-pack so much into so little. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Check it out. That's Mud Jackin.
Jackin' Mud.
Yeah, definitely recommend that one. The only other one that I'll mention this week is one called Venus Flytrap. This is from 1987. This is it's been a long time, really long time, but this is a shot-on-video movie.
Okay.
So it's got that amazing VHS quality to it.
Nice. Because
it's shot on video. And, man, I can't even remember the last time I saw a movie that was shot on video, but it probably since shooting on video was like actually a thing. But the whole time I was watching this, I was like, man, this feels like a parody. It feels like a modern movie that's meant to look like an old VHS movie.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's real. It felt like something that you would see on like Tim and Eric do, or I don't know, like Harmony Korine or something. But I can't even describe this movie. So it's about a group of punk rock guys. It's two guys and a girl, and they rob a record store. And while they're robbing a record store, they end up meeting these two rich yuppies. And they find out that these two rich yuppies are having a party in their nice house, their mansion, and they go crash the party. And so it's kind of your classic punks versus yuppies story, and things don't work out the way that these punks expected. There's something waiting for them at this party, and I had a blast with this movie. It's I will say, like a lot of 80s movies, it's very homophobic. Like they say there's a lot of slurs being used, but you know, that was kind of commonplace back then. So if you're okay with hearing some of that and just kind of chalking that up to the time period, it's ridiculous. Oh my God, it is so ridiculous.
What is this called?
It's called Venus Flytrap.
Yeah.
And I recommend it just because it's insane. It's not overly violent or overly sexual or anything like that. I mean, there is violence and nudity, but well, you know what? I'm just gonna I'm gonna kind of give it away because
Oh no.
it's worth. Well, all right, I won't. This I saw on the exploitation.tv streaming service that Vinegar Syndrome put out. So I don't know if there's any other way to see this one, but if you can, check it out. Venus Flytrap is the name.
Oh my. I got two real quick to run through. They're both horror movies. I was able to squeeze some in. One, and this will surprise you, found footage horror movie. The Taking of Deborah Logan from 2014.
Yeah, I saw this one.
Did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that this was found footage. It was just one of those random picks on Netflix, and then as soon as it started, I was like, oh shit.
Did you pick it because of the cover?
I picked mostly because of the cover, and it was the only modern horror film that I looked at on Netflix that didn't have a 1-star rating. And I thought,
Yeah.
and it was at like 2.5, and I was like, I think that's as high as I'm going to get. So I just had to set, because it was, it was after like 20 minutes of searching through Netflix.
Yeah.
And I wanted something modern. And gotta say, I mean, it's not that great, but I have to say that it was pretty surprising. I didn't find it 100% terribly stupid like I usually do with found footage movies. There were some things that I could have done without. One of the interesting things that I did like is how some of the people actually made good decisions. Like when shit started hitting the fan, and her staff kind of upped their price. And then even when it got worse, the other guy was like, I don't care how much money, I'm leaving. And he just leaves and you never see him again.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, that guy's smart. Good work. But it was an odd thing of how they try and connected the Alzheimer's to it didn't really quite work. But I had to say that it was unsettling. There was some disturbing imagery, and kept me on edge for a little bit. So I'd say it's a light recommend.
Yeah.
I
I didn't like this one, but I've seen so much found footage horror. I think in my Letterboxd review, I said, if this came out 3 or 4 years ago, I probably would have liked it a lot more. But having seen so much found footage, I just
well, and again, I think that's what helps me here is I haven't seen that many.
Yeah,
and mostly the ones that I have seen are so bad that it was like, oh my god, this is a breath of fresh air.
I did like the Alzheimer's hook in that too. I thought that was an interesting way to present, because I mean, in reality, that is a very horrifying disease, and I thought that was an interesting way to put that in there, because it also made you think. It cast disbelief in there, because just chalk that up to Alzheimer's. She has Alzheimer's. She's not possessed, but
then it quickly becomes apparent that it's more than Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And then that kind of goes out the window. I think they could have used that a little bit longer.
Yeah,
The other one that I saw was Children of the Corn from 1984.
Oh,
the original.
I just saw this for the first time not too long ago when I did my little Children of the Corn marathon. Yeah,
I did this Friday night, and this is something, right?
I didn't like it.
Children of the Corn.
I don't think I liked any of them in that whole series. I just, they didn't really work for me.
Well, number one, some of the child acting in this is just downright god awful. Especially the kid that does the voiceover narration. That was terrible. And I mean, the initial sequence with them in the diner, when the kids kind of take over their first attack, that was something. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And but man, it just really goes nowhere for a really long time, because at a certain point in this movie, we paused it to smoke a cigarette, and there was 20 minutes left, and I thought to myself, well, that can't be right. Nothing's happened yet. Like, what's going to happen in the next 20 minutes? We're going to be able, to tie up all these loose ends, which they tried to. But there's just some stuff in here that's just way too hilarious. Like when the camera would the quick zoom in on the corn itself, and it tried to be like, oh, the menacing corn. And you're like, it's fucking corn. What? This is such a ridiculous story. And then when the corn at the end is kind of like, it pulls Peter Horton down, because apparently he can't overcome corn, and it starts to like cover his legs and whatnot. And he doesn't fight back for any reason. He's just like, oh, corn. and the little kid has to come out and save him. It's just, oh man, it was something.
Yeah.
Such a ridiculous movie.
Well, you have 7 sequels that you can check out
I'm not
to
watching
complete
any of this.
the story.
So the story ends here. Children of the Corn. They killed the corn. Everyone's happy, and then they left behind a shit ton of kids. They just that couple took 2 of the kids and then just abandoned the rest of them.
Well, in the sequel you find out where those kids went.
Okay.
They all get rescued. They all end up in an orphanage.
I don't. There's a part of me that wants to continue because I want to see how they make sense of this ridiculous story because it makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, I'm going to give you a spoiler right now. They don't really do a good job of explaining it.
That's what I figure. Because I'm like, okay, who's the man that walks behind the rose? What's happening? And then all of a sudden it's like a giant mole, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
It's ridiculous, and all of the sequels, it just gets more ridiculous and more convoluted as each movie occurs. I think almost all, if not all, of these are on Netflix though that you can stream.
I think you are correct.
I think when I did the marathon, all of them but part 2, which was on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
No, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, there's some movies, some of these movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, where I would say, yeah, it's worth just plowing through the whole series. But Children of the Corn, no, absolutely not.
No, I got off the Children of the Corn train Friday, and I'm never getting back on.
Yep, can't blame you on that. All right, let's go over our predictions from last week and pull this up here. The Last Witch Hunter, you said 38, I said 34, actual 15. Ouch. Gem and the Holograms, you said 20, I said 27, actual 20.
Wow.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head there. I think that there was I can't remember. I apologize, but it was on my Twitter feed. Somebody said that some of the employees who work at the actual theaters made more than the Gem and the Holograms opening night. Because it didn't do well. It did not. It pretty much bombed. So I'm actually glad to see that because that's not cool.
That was a stupid idea. It's so
stupid idea. Paranormal Activity Ghost Dimension. You said 6. I said 12. Actual 13.
Wow, that's way too high.
Yeah,
that's way too high. I'm sorry.
We didn't predict this, but I saw it on the list, and I thought I should mention that Rock the Casbah, the one with Bill Murray, got an 8.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, next week, Burnt. This is the one with Bradley Cooper. Now, this one, I'm not so sure about this one. Here's a little story about this. We got invited to a press conference for Burnt. And I don't typically go to press conferences just because I there's just really nothing for me there, just ask. I don't see the point in asking these kind of softball generic questions that every other publication asks to the same actors. So I was like, no, I'm not really interested in going to the press conference, but we'll go to the press screening. And the publicists emailed me back and they were like, well, the press screening is really it's not for reviews. It's for editorial coverage only. And I was like, what? Like, I can't review it based on that press screening? So that kind of had me wondering, because it's rare that happens, where they basically embargo you from reviewing the movie based on a press screening. So that kind of led me to believe, all right, maybe there's something going on with this movie. And then they ended up doing something really weird with the distribution, where like the Weinstein Company they changed the distribution of it and made it like they pulled it up a week, so it's releasing a week early or something, and then it's like a nationwide release. So either way, it seems like there's something kind of weird about this movie, and I don't think it's. I think that it's probably not going to be great. So I'll predict 46.
I'm gonna guess 32.
It also had, I think, at least 2 title changes. It was originally called Chef, but then they realized that they can't do that. And then it was changed to whatever the name of Bradley Cooper's character is, and it was like his name, the character name.
Yeah.
And then it was burnt.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Also coming out next week, Our Brand is Crisis. It's the new David Gordon Green.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking on this one?
52.
All right. I have very little desire to see this one. No desire, actually. So
I'm 100% with you.
it just doesn't look appealing to me. It just kind of looks boring. I don't know. It's not my thing. I like David Gordon Green, but it seems like, it's funny. I always remember that interview that we first saw on the George Washington Criterion DVD, where I think it was a Charlie Rose interview, and he asked him, what's next? What do you want to do? And David Gordon Green was like, well, I kind of want to do everything. I want to do comedies, want to do like big dramas, want to do science fiction, and that's kind of what he's doing. I mean, he's all over the place, this guy.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that, but at the same time, it's not like he's the type of director where I could just blindly go see whatever he makes. He's not like a Tarantino or Wes Anderson where I know the style and I know that I'm going to like it regardless.
Yeah.
Those are really the only 2 big releases. In limited release next week, we have Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, The Wonders, which I think you're going to review that.
Mm-hmm.
The Armor of Light, that's a documentary about the pastor who comes out against guns, who comes out for gun control and like the problems that causes him.
Yeah.
And Gaspar Noé's Love. I'll be checking that one out. I'm gonna try to check that one out in 3D. Just to do it. Just to say I did it. Next week on VOD we have Rise of the Giants, Bloody Knuckles, Bear, and Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. I'll be checking out the Scout's Guide one, obviously. Not holding my breath on it. I like Ty Sheridan, so that'll be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next week on Blu-ray we have Army of Darkness is getting a new Blu-ray version. I feel like out of all of the movies ever made, Army of Darkness has more versions that come out. And anytime there's a new format, Army of Darkness is always one of the first movies that comes out on that format.
It does seem that way.
I don't know. It's weird. I guess that is one of those movies that consistently sells on home release. It must that just must be it. But they're coming out with a collector's edition on Blu-ray. Let's see what else. The Gift, Southpaw, Pixels, Breeders is getting a release from 1986. Sometimes they come back. The Stephen King film from 1991. Max, that one about the dog with PTSD.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Alright.
What do we got on the Criterion front?
Oh, we got a big one.
Yeah.
We got a big one, buddy. We got Mulholland Drive, David Lynch, and I don't think I really need to say any more about that, except for, obviously, what you're getting with this one is new interviews with Lynch, the director of photography, Peter Deming, actors, composer, production designer, casting director, whole bunch of stuff. Booklet with interview with David Lynch from 2005, deleted scenes, on-set footage, all the good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I like this idea of David Lynch being on Criterion.
So do I. And the Coen brothers are going to be on Criterion now too.
Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome as well. All right, I think that'll do it. Also, Meteor Man. The Meteor Man's coming out from 1993. Remember that one with Robert Townsend?
Oh shit! Are you serious?
Classic Meteor Man. No, yeah, Criterion. Yeah, sure.
Criterion getting that 4K digital transfer. Oh shit!
Oh god.
New interviews with Robert Townsend.
Oh boy. All right, I think that is gonna do it for the week. Send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And please take a minute to take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/filmpulse, and consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson, and we will see you next week.